Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share my version or my twist for this chicken over rice. It's very simple. All it is some yellow rice with some chicken seasoned up with a lot of spices, and you can serve it with any types of veggies or as quick salad on the side. And of course, it has that beautiful creamy white sauce on the top. So if you want to see how I put this together, please keep on watching. We're going to first start off by making the white sauce so it could sit in the fridge while I make everything else. I'm starting off in a bowl with some Greek yogurt, and I'm also going to go in with a little bit of sour cream. Now if you didn't have the sour cream, that is totally fine. You can use all yogurt, and if you didn't have the yogurt, you could use all sour cream. I just prefer to mix the two, and also because I had them on hand, it was just easy for me to do so. Now I'm also going to go in with some chopped up scallions. If you do not have scallions, you can use chives or cilantro or anything like that. And right here I'm also going in with cilantro. Again, these are all things that I have on hand, so if you don't have one or the other, just go ahead and work with what you've got. Now after you add those ingredients in, you're going to go in with some ground cumin, also known as jeera, and that's going to give it a really nice nutty flavor. And I'm also going to hit it with a little bit of salt as well as some black pepper. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of lemon juice, and I'm going to stir all of these ingredients together until everything is well combined. Now this is what I like in my white sauce, but by all means, if you want to tailor it to your own taste, feel free to do so. And to thin out my sauce just a little bit, I'm going in with a few tablespoons of water. By all means, if you don't want to use water, you can go ahead and use some whole milk for this, and it will thin it out just a little bit as well. Now this is totally optional. If you like the sauce really thick, feel free to leave it as is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and set this in the fridge. Once you put the sauce in the fridge, you're going to work on the chicken. So we're going to start off by making a fresh seasoning to go ahead and rub on the chicken. In my mortar and pestle, I'm adding in some cilantro, going in with some garlic, as well as some hot peppers. I'm using wiri peppers today, but use whatever type of hot pepper you have on hand. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is start to pound it until I get a fine paste. In my bowl here, I have some boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've sliced up. If you wanted to, you could use chicken thighs. And I'm going to go in with that fresh green seasoning that we just made. If you already have a ready-made green seasoning, you can use that instead. Now I'm also going to go in with a little bit of this Tajin seasoning. It's basically like a chili, lime, and salt seasoning. I really enjoy the tang and the kick that it gives the dish, but by all means, if you don't have it, you can omit it. Just make sure that you use all of the other spices that I'm adding in. And as usual, all of my ingredients and measurements will be down in the description box below, so you can reference them when you go to put this dish together. Now here are all of my main spices. I'm going in with some chili powder, some cumin powder and coriander powder, some chili powder, as well as some turmeric, also known as dye to Guyanese people. Now I just want to go ahead and mix those ingredients really well into the chicken. Now as you guys can see, I'm using a spoon today to mix it together, but by all means you can get in there with your fingers and mix it up really well until every piece of chicken is coated. Once you mix all those fresh spices in, you're going to go in with some freshly squeezed lemon juice. And after you add in the lemon juice, you're also going to go in with a little bit of Greek yogurt. This is going to add a lot of moisture to the chicken. Now once you mix all of the yogurt in, you're also going to go in with some black pepper. I almost forgot to add in the black pepper, but I totally recommend it because I really like the flavor that it gives. Now you're going to notice that I'm not adding in any salt, and the reason being is because I will salt it as it is cooking. When you add salt to any types of meats or veggies before they're cooked, they tend to release a lot of water and juices, and we want the chicken to get nice and brown. And if you add the salt now, it'll stop it from doing so. So I'm going to mix this, put it in my fridge while I work on my rice. So I covered my chicken with plastic wrap and I set it in my fridge, and I'm just going to allow it to marinate and really infuse with all of those spices while I work on my rice. So in a small saucepan here, I am melting a little bit of butter, and once that butter has melted really well on about a medium heat, you're going to go in with some cumin powder as well as some garlic powder. Now I am not using cumin seeds, nor am I using fresh garlic in this because I do not want large chunks in my rice. I just want the flavors of these ingredients. So I'm going to make sure it's not too hot so this way they don't burn, and I'm going to slowly roast them in that butter for about 1 minute. And once those spices become fragrant, you're going to go in with your washed rice. Now I am using jasmine rice today because I like how light and fluffy it is. By all means, if you had basmati rice, you can use that, but I didn't have any on hand. So now what you want to do is go ahead and stir the rice in and get it well coated with all the spices and the butter. And once you mix all of that rice in, you're going to go in with a little bit of turmeric. Now I'm using turmeric today instead of yellow food coloring to get my rice yellow, but by all means, if you have yellow food coloring and that's what you like to use, you can definitely use that. I just like the fact that turmeric's a little more natural and it adds that natural yellow color. So I'm just going to mix this up really well, and I'm going to parch it or roast it in that pan with the butter for about 2 minutes until it is dry at the bottom of the pot. After a couple of minutes of roasting that rice in the pot, you're going to go in with some salt and pepper to taste. Remember, be careful with how much salt you add because you can always taste it later and see if you want to add more. After you mix in all of your salt and pepper, you're going to go in with your liquids. Today I'm using half chicken stock, half water, but by all means you could use the full amount of chicken stock or you could use all water if you don't have any stock on hand. You can also go ahead and play around with other stocks that you may have, whatever floats your boat and whatever works for you. Now you're going to mix everything together and you're going to wait for the rice to come up to a rolling boil. Once your rice comes up to a rolling boil, you are going to put your heat on the lowest setting possible. You're going to cover it and you're going to allow it to steam until the rice is fully cooked. Now once you've gotten your rice taken care of and it is steaming, it's time to put your chicken together. Remember, we had it sitting in the fridge marinating as we worked on the rice. So what I'm doing now is adding some olive oil into my skillet, and I'm going in with all of that chicken once it heats up. And all you're going to do is continue to stir and move that chicken around until it is beautifully browned in the pot. Now I always recommend whenever you're browning chicken, go ahead and use a cast iron or a non-stick pot. It will work the best. So you're going to see that once you add that chicken in, it's going to start to release a lot of its own natural juices. What you basically want to happen is for all of those juices to be released and then for all of them to be evaporated and for the chicken to start to brown up. And while that chicken was cooking away, my rice had finished. So as you guys can see, it looks super fluffy on the top and it is nice and dry. So I'm just going in with a fork and I'm fluffing it really well. And once you get it nice and fluffed up, you're going to put the cover back on and you're going to set it aside until your chicken is done cooking and you're ready to eat. So my chicken took about 15 minutes to cook in total. It might take a little less time or a little longer time just depending on how big you cut those pieces of chicken. Now since it is done and nice and brown, I am going in with some chopped cilantro just to top it off and give it a nice fresh taste. And I'm going to also go in with my salt. Remember, I said I was adding salt at the end of the cooking process for the chicken because I didn't want the chicken to release too much water. So I'm just going to mix this in and it is ready to serve. So it is now time to serve up my chicken over rice. So I have all of that beautiful fluffy yellow rice that finished cooking. I'm going to pile that onto my plate first. And then on top of that beautiful bed of yellow rice, I'm going to go on with that juicy seasoned chicken that I went ahead and I pan fried. Now by all means, if you wanted to, you could take some whole chicken breasts or whole chicken thighs, season them, grill them or pan sear them and then chop them up. But I like to pre-chop it and then season it because I find that it soaks up so much more of that flavor. Now once you go on with that chicken, you're also going to go on with a little bit of shredded cabbage to the side. That's going to give it a nice crunch and a really nice freshness. And if you had some fresh chopped tomatoes, you can go ahead and add them on. Sadly, I didn't have any, so I was trying to make do with what I had, and the lettuce worked out just fine. So at this point, I'm going on with all of that beautiful white sauce that we made earlier. Remember that white sauce we had chilling in the fridge while we worked on everything else. So all of those flavors are well distributed into the sauce. And guys, I know it was quite a few steps, but I promise from start to finish, this whole process only took me about an hour. So this is a great meal that you can make on a weekend. You could even get away with it on a weeknight. So I hope you guys enjoyed my version, my twist for chicken over rice. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. And of course, leave all of your amazing comments down below. And I'll see you guys again very soon in one of my next videos.